What's going on, YouTubers? It's the Natural Born Thriller, and welcome everyone to WWE NXT review, the show from November 20th, 2019. And this was the WWE NXT TakeOver WarGames 2019 Go Home Show edition for this edition of NXT for WWE Survivor Series weekend. So let's get right into it, folks. They were at Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Your commentators, as usual, are Mauro Renaro, Beth Phoenix, and Nigel McGuinness. This show was not just the home show where it pertains to WWE TakeOver War Games for 2019, but it's also for the home show for WWE Survivor Series 2019 as well, which they focus more on that one than the War Games itself. But we'll get to that as we go through it. So the show opened up with William Regal backstage, the general manager of NXT. He was with about what I think 3 to 4 securities for the arrival of Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, the man, because I believe it was during the Raw or SmackDown show, wherever that Triple H was on, where he wants the doors to be open for anyone from Raw and SmackDown to come to the home of NXT. You know, since this is on the final week to build up for Survivor Series, so that may be the reason of it, of why Becky Lynch was there. And Becky Lynch was welcomed by William Regal as Becky Lynch looked very serious. She gets to the ring, and Beth Phoenix comes to promo saying, you know, it's been a while, and that she goes on to say, it's been a while since the people here saw Becky kick someone's ass live, and she says, well, we don't have to wait for much longer. Let's fight right now and everything, right? Basically throwing the gauntlet where it pertains to pertains to the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler. So basically, she calls out Shayna Baszler, but instead of Shayna Baszler, it was none other than Rhea Ripley, the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion of all time in WWE history. So she comes out, and that popped for this one. I was in shock. I couldn't believe this, because I like saying to myself, yeah, they got to have a match here. So Rhea Ripley says to Becky Lynch, if Lynch is the man, let's see if you have some set of balls. And then she drops the mic, and then we get to a match between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, and it ends up being a very good match. Unfortunately, it ended by no contest, because NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, along with Jessica Menduke and Maria Shafir, ends up being down on Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, causing a no contest, which I hated it. Because it just shows you that WWE cannot afford to have Becky Lynch or Rhea Ripley losing a match here. So what was their scapegoat of this? And the first is to cause a no contest. I didn't like that. But after the match, the beatdown still continues on. But then Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley fights back, and they have the 3 of the 4 horsemen retreating, and that was basically it. They stand tall, and yeah. Also, we see the Revival arriving back to NXT. They've been escorted into the building by securities, and yeah, the top guys are back on NXT, but for how long? Actually, I know. I already know. It was just that one night. And they go up against the NXT Tag Team Champions, Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And we'll get to that match later on. Excuse me. We got a quick video vignette of the NXT UK Women's Champion, Kaylee Ray. Pretty good video package, but it should have been a little longer, in my opinion. But I digress. Next, we're supposed to have a pronto match between the Finest, Conor Reeves versus Matt Riddle. But unfortunately, Conor Reeves never got to have that match against Matt Riddle as he came out. He got attacked by, from Raw, Ricochet, the return of Ricochet. So instead of Conor Reeves being the match, Matt Riddle came out, and it ends up being a replacement, or a substitute type of match in a way, where Ricochet is a substitute for Conor Reeves, as Ricochet goes up against Matt Riddle. And this match itself between Matt Riddle and Ricochet was pretty good too. But like the same result like from the women's, they did this here again with the men's. But this time with Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro coming in from SmackDown, by the way. Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion, and Cesaro, just Cesaro, you know. But they were beating up on Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle ends up winning by disqualification. But Ricochet ends up fighting along with Matt Riddle to fight Nakamura and Cesaro. But yeah, the fight, basically the fight, okay, I'll just say this. Let me just say this. I hate it. I hate the the WWE is doing this for you're giving us these type of these dream matches that that's fans like me all wanted to see, and you're a way to end the matches by disqualification and by no countouts, or in a way no contest. Like it's like they can't afford on these guys losing clean, or girls clean in a way. These performers clean. But yeah, but it's okay. It's not like the Raw SmackDown roster. It's not like one of those shows where it pertains to how their match is being booked. NXT it's a different type of booking where it pertains to making your performers looking stronger. Even by defeat or by victory. But anyways, Nakamura and Cesaro could beat down on Ricochet. I mean, Riddle meant to say, and then Riddle and Ricochet fights back. Also, we get Roderick Strong coming out to come into the fight. And also, Finn Balor and Matt Riddle ends up fighting. Because they're gonna have a match. They're gonna have a match at TakeOver WarGames. So basically, it led to Matt Riddle. Basically, the brawl in after that. So, basically, yeah. So we get some invasions going on NXT where it seems to Raw and SmackDown coming in, even though they were open. The doors were open for them to come in anyway. So we get a video package of Killian Dane, Damian Priest, and Pete Dunne which is to the triple threat match for TakeOver WarGames. It was pretty good. But at the same time, they're probably going to show this again that TakeOver on the TakeOver show. So, but it is what it is. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, the NXT Tag Team Champions, warmed up for the match against the Revival. And let's get to right now. The Revival, Scott Dawson and Dashwater were cheered. But they were not cheered like the Undisputed Era coming out of Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, the NXT Tag Team Champions, coming out. And this match has been pretty good. A pretty good tag team match. Both teams looked strong. And finally, we got a decisive winner here. The Undisputed Era won the match. And there you go. It was right for so. Basically, they won with the total elimination, which is the high low finish that they do. So, but yeah, thank God there was no more all this disqualification interference no contest bullshit that they were doing. So, in a way, I could appreciate that. But also we cut backstage and we see the Forgotten Sons being that were kept apart from the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Viking Raiders, by securities. So the Viking Raiders ends up showing up too. Back in the days when the Viking Raiders, when the Viking Raiders were on NXT, they were known as the War Raiders. I missed that tag team name. Next we get to Kaylee Ray versus Dakota Kai. Match itself ends up being pretty decent, with Kaylee Ray winning the match with the Gory Special. I forgot what she calls it. She got her own way of calling the Gory Special on the Gory Bomb, let's say, to win it. But yeah, the match was decent. So nothing to say about it. Dakota Kai is not once again it's not on her A game for whatever reason. Let's just go. Like I said, I don't know. It's going to lead to something, where she's going to turn heel. I still think she's going to turn heel. I just don't see it. But if she does turn heel, then I'll come up here and say I was wrong. So, but we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But other than that, I got nothing to say about that. Other than I thought Kaylee Ray and Dakota Kai in this match in a way, they played very well. Hopefully, we get more of these two wrestling each other. Taking Knox wrestle against Kaylee Ray before, and Dakota Kai. In a way, both of Team Kick lost to Kaylee Ray in a way. Taking Knox from NXT UK, and then you got Dakota Kai from NXT. So basically, both of them that lost to the NXT UK Women's Champion. So how ironic is that? But after the match, also we get Carmella coming out with Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville. They beat up on Dakota Kai and Kaylee Ray. Also, Tegan Knox comes out with the rest of the NXT women's. And then we get Sarah Logan coming up with the Raw women's. And they also having a brawl. And then we get a stare down between Kairi Sane and Io Shirai. Wow. And guess another thing too. That was supposed to be the match, the feud going on for NXT. If Kairi Sane has not been called up to go to the main roster. But instead of of Io Shirai and Kairi Sane going at it, it was Io Shirai and Candice LeRae that ended up being it instead. Which in a way, it was a payoff. It was a payoff and a blessing in disguise in a way too. But at the same time, it would have been nice if we would have saw Io Shirai and Kairi Sane go at it on NXT. But unfortunately, we never came to its fruition. But anyways, and then Nikki Cross comes out. She gets a steel chair. She starts wailing on everybody. And Rhea Ripley comes out with with the others. And again, Nikki Cross takes out several Raw and NXT stars, women's in a way, but with trash cans and all that, so Nikki Cross was kicking ass in this match too. She was going crazy, and Nikki Cross is back on NXT, just to be a part of the invasion. We see Tommaso Ciampa watching Dominik Dijakovic warm up for this match against Adam Cole, baby, for the main event later on in that ladder match too. We'll get to that though. We'll get to it. We got the Viking Raiders versus the Forgotten Sons. Match itself, I thought it was decent. Nothing wrong about it. And then the Viking Raiders won. They won, being the Forgotten Sons. Once again, the Forgotten Sons are losing matches again. Whatever. We see, Adam Cole. We see Adam Cole get ready for his main event match against Dominik Dijakovic, which, by the way, let's get to right now. Ladder match between Dominik Dijakovic versus Adam Cole, baby, the NXT champion, where the winner of this match will get the advantage for TakeOver WarGames for for the men's WarGames in a way. So, and this match was good. These guys were hell bent to destroy each other, one another. But without a lot of ladder bumps and all that. And then in the end, Adam Cole gets the win after grabbing the briefcase that Dominik Dijakovic was on the ladder trying to get the briefcase, and then slams his head on it, and then pushes him down, and then lands on top of the ladder. And then Adam Cole retrieves the briefcase, and your winner gained the advantage for WarGames. Adam Cole for his team, Undisputed Era. And then after that was over, Undisputed Era comes out, celebrate with Adam Cole. Basically they're about to go into the ring to celebrate with them. All of a sudden, SmackDown comes out of nowhere to confront them, and all of a sudden we get the Raw guys coming out from behind them, and they also all hell breaks loose. Everyone breaks start fighting and everything, like and then we get some appearances of Drew McIntyre, Keith Lee, and Ivar stare at each other, and they instead of fighting each other, they start to do a dive onto a pile of bodies on the outside. And then Seth Rollins came out, and immediately he came out, I like, oh crap! To me, I felt deflated. I hate Seth Rollins now. And then the fans booed Seth Rollins when they saw him there. Oh man! I mean, at first it was shock, but then also they start booing him too. And then all of a sudden, Ciampa comes out to confront Rollins, but before he did, he took out Adam Cole first, and then they started fighting, and then went off the air, and that was basically on WWE's way to promote and to plug their go home spot for Survivor Series, instead of because it's supposed to be NXT, and I understand they want to do the go home show for Survivor Series, but at the same time, this is an NXT show. They focus more on the women's and the men's WarGames match and all that, and on top of that with the rest of the cards of it as well. And speaking of which, who's going to be the fourth member for Team Ciampa? I already know it's going to be Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, but who's the fourth man? I thought it was gonna be happy here, but we didn't get that either way. And I thought it was gonna be someone that's gonna make his return on NXT to be part of Trump's team. But I don't want to name drop it yet. But yeah, I'll name drop it. I thought it was gonna be the Velveteen Dream. And after hearing reports about the Velveteen Dream will not be clear until 2020. So yeah, so much for that, right? At the same time, because I'm not a fan of the Velveteen Dream. I mean, great wrestler, great the gimmick. It's it is what it is. It's supposed to be channeling Prince and everything, but at the same time, I don't like but the way he does it, it's cringy. But anyways, yeah, there you go. That was your go home show for WWE NXT audition, where it pertains to for TakeOver WarGames 2019, and for Survivor Series 2019 for their Survivor Series weekend. All right, talking about wrestling for WWE NXT, the show from November 20th, 2019. I think it was 6 matches, but let me just double check. Six matches. And my overall rating for the show, I'm gonna go with 6.5 out of 10. And with that being said, thank you all for watching for this Natural Born Thriller, saying peace on the streets. For this was your WWE NXT review, the show from November 20th, 2019. Until next time, we're chance to me doing these for finally doing my best of catching up to the very end of these NXT reviews, WWE NXT reviews. Y'all take care, and I'm out.